Welcome into a brand new edition of Bleav and Panthers here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Desmond Johnson and Jonathan Stewart in the house here with you. Loaded show today. It is the return of Bama Bryce as Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers narrowly fall to the Kansas City Chiefs at home 30-27 on Sunday. We'll give you our thoughts on Bryce Young's play as well as the entire team. Some audio from Dave Canales. Around the league, are the Chiefs actually as good as their record indicates? We'll go into that a little bit too. And we're going to talk about Saquon Barkley because we haven't really talked about him a whole lot all season, and it's time. It's time to talk about Saquon and this Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. Should Saquon Barkley be the first running back to win league MVP since Adrian Peterson in 2012? And we'll also dig in some Thanksgiving stuff too. But y'all know what it is. Go ahead and run the intro. It's Bleav in Panthers. Let's go.
Jonathan Stewart gets in, fights for more yardage. Stewart to the mouth of the goal line. Touchdown!
Wow, that's just pure Stewart right there.
That's a big-time run by Jonathan Stewart.
Welcome to Bleav in Carolina Panthers here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Do you believe? Rate and subscribe the show on all major podcast platforms and subscribe to our social media channels on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Video available weekly at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Do you believe?
And again, welcome into Bleav in Panthers here on a Tuesday, right after the Panthers and the Chiefs got after it, 30-27 losers to Kansas City on Sunday. But if there was ever a situation of a moral victory, that was probably it on Sunday. We'll get into that and a whole lot more, a lot to get into on this busy Tuesday. Schuyler Callihan may be in today. Of course, y'all know he's on paternity leave. He had his newborn with his wife Madeline a couple of weeks ago. He's been in and out. Of course, he does Sports Illustrated stuff for Charlotte Hornets and West Virginia, as well as the Carolina Panthers, the Carolina Panthers. So he may pop in here with his comments here in just a few. If you're watching us here on Twitter, make sure to share the live link. We do open mailbag while we're in the house, answering your questions, getting feedback from you guys, or you can watch it on the YouTube Tobacco Road Sports Radio channel. Funny story, Stu. I have been permanently banned from Facebook. This happened Saturday morning, I think, Friday. And so
what happened?
It wasn't anything super crazy. That's the crazy thing about it. Like, I posted promo video for a high school football playoff game that we were broadcasting. I owned the graphic. I owned everything in it. Everything was mine. And it set off some kind of bot or something with Facebook, but flagged it immediately. It was like, you're infringing on copyright. And it was like, you need to fill out this little document or whatever to gain access back to your page. And I did it and went off and did my football game. Woke up Saturday morning to an email like at 3:30 in the morning from Facebook saying, we've decided your account has been permanently blocked and you are no longer able to use this account. And because of that, I'm not able to access my Tobacco Road Sports Radio business page, any of my business pages, because they're all connected to my profile instead of an email when they switched it over a couple years ago. So I can't get into any of them. So you're used to watching us on Facebook. You can't watch us on Facebook today because Facebook is being mean and it's run by bots, and they decide they don't want me on Facebook anymore. So I'm not on Facebook, but I've opened up an account on Blue Sky over the weekend. Definitely go and check that out. Seems like that's where everybody's going from off of Twitter. And it's, again, on the Bleav in Panthers Twitter page and YouTube. But I had to get that out, like, because I've been holding on to that all weekend. And people are like, where did he go? Where'd he go? I'm not there.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't want to be one of those type, because I have friends that have like 3 or 4 Facebook accounts for when that actually happens. Like when they get banned, they just switch over to the other one. I don't want to be that kind of person. So I'm just
Will you ever get it back?
I don't know. It said it was going to review it for 180. Well, it had up to 180 days for me to dispute it, and I did it immediately, and it feels like it just came back with a definitive no, you're done, you're out. Like literally, I feel like I got kicked out the club. Like literally, it's like, you got to go, you're supposed to be here, get out of here. I'm like, I'm just sitting here, like, what did I do wrong? So it's like I can't get on Facebook anymore. So that's what that is if you're looking for me over there. But before we get into Bama Bryce and the Carolina Panthers, quick word from our sponsors at BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. From the NFL to college football, BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. The boys, Oregon Ducks, still number 1 in the country. Am I not correct? Doing their thing.
Yeah.
Doing their thing. Think you know your stuff. Get in on our winner takes all $300,000 NFL Survivor pool for the upcoming season. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker or on one of our over 150 slot games. Head over to the website today. Use the promo code Bleav, BLEAV, to get in on the action. Bet online, the game starts here. And where we start are our instant, well, maybe not so instant, Tuesday reactions to the Panthers falling 30-27 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Stu, I saw picks you and other Panther legends in the house for Sunday's game. Give me your initial thoughts here on what you saw from Bryce and this offense in particular. Start off with that side of the ball. Your thoughts?
Man, I thought they were prepared. They looked like they're the most prepared offensively that we've seen all year. I mean, only having one punt in the first half against the defending national champions, national champions, right? World champions, that, right? Because it's NFL. But, we knew that the Chiefs were outstanding on defense. But for some reason, I felt this was coming. And I've been trying to tell people, man. Like, all it takes is time. And you have to have the right type of time. The time that you have, like, with guys getting healed up. And then also, too, just finding out who guys are. And you have a new coaching staff, and they've been able to do that with the young guys. Having Adam Thielen go out early provided an opportunity for the younger guys to step up. Now you get Adam Thielen back, and it looked like Bryce Young had his best friend out there. And that safety net. Every quarterback has to have someone that they're comfortable with. That security blanket. And Adam Thielen is that in times 10. Shout out to Xavier Legette, filling in the role of X with Coker being out. Right, providing, the fact that, hey, if wherever you need me to be, I can be there, and I can play wherever you need me to play. So it was just an overall good job on offense, just bringing it. Offensive line did a great job. I mean, you talk about, a front line that is able to just, protect on all levels. Passing game was efficient because they were protecting. Running game became, efficient after a while once we actually start running the ball. I think earlier on, I would have loved to see the run game be more effective, but also, called on. It wasn't called on as much in the first half, but once we started running the ball and started moving those guys around the line of scrimmage, that was huge. And I see this play that you're about to show here. Bryce Young being able to step up in the pocket and deliver the throws necessary. Because I can tell you this, they brought the house.
Yeah, this was 3rd and 8. Yeah, and they brought heat.
They brought zero. I think this is zero blitz. And everybody did their. No, this isn't the zero blitz.
No, this isn't the one. Yeah, this is a different one. This is where he found Legette in the corner.
That was the first quarter. But he stepped in and made these throws. And when a defense brings pressure, you continue to that was it right there. When you continue to step up and just make the throws against pressure, guess what? They're not going to bring pressure.
Yeah, because I did hear that Spagnuolo basically loaded the box the entire first half, pretty much daring them to throw, and then Bryce started hitting dots, and then that kind of changed the complexity of the game, really.
And that's when we started running the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's why, the Carolina Panthers have been able to be successful, is because we have been a team that can run the ball, right? So what does a defense do going into a game where you've been one-dimensional for the most part? They load the box. Let's stop the run. Make them have to pass it. But what they don't know is Bryce got his confidence back.
He did. There's a stark difference, and that throw
to Trimble in the end zone, that was a dime.
Dude.
And Trimble, I mean, obviously a contested catch. Got to come down with those. But it just didn't happen. But a lot of the drops that have happened have been dimes. I mean, Xavier Legette would have loved to have one of those back. It would have been, a big play there towards the end of the game where Bryce dropped one just right in his lap. And
look at that.
Look at that.
Just, I mean, there's something. This is what I wanted to address because again, I made the mistakes too. I went online and the trolls on Twitter did not let me forget that I was being very hard on Bryce Young, but it was for good reason. Like he wasn't playing well. It wasn't like I was just picking on him like it was a school bully situation. Like
it was like tough love, right?
Yeah, he wasn't playing well. Like I've been on record like, look, this has to work. This has to work, and I'd much rather see that Bryce Young than Bryce Young sitting on the bench. And we were hoping when Dave Canales sat him, our exact words were, well, maybe the game will get slower to him because they'll be able to sit from the side and actually watch how this is going. He's learning the new offense too. Like everyone, this is a brand new offense for everybody. So it wasn't just Bryce learning this. And you have to think too, Bryce, this is what Dave Canales would be the fourth play caller he's had in like 18 months or something like that since he's been here. And to see the progression from where he was week 1 and especially week 2, where he looked just despondent and lost in the post game and in the game, to where he is now. And we've seen, you said this isn't really new. We've seen this gradual growth the past couple of weeks. I was just reluctant to crown him off of incremental growth. Like I wanted to see him continuously get better. And we were hoping that there was going to be a game coming down the road like this, where things just clicked. And you could tell from the very beginning, he trusts this offensive line. Like watch the offensive line blocking for him in terms of where he is. Because normally Bryce he would be running around. He's not really trusting what's in front of him. Look at him, he's staying in there. He's planting his feet. He's looking at the options he has in front of him. There's not a single situation here where he just like freaks out. Now, the thing I did like too, in terms of the return of Bama Bryce, he started like looking for openings to run the ball. Like,
and also running to throw, but being able to be decisive enough to just know that, hey, I'm just running now.
Yeah. Like he was just playing. Like he was just finally just playing.
Yeah.
He wasn't worried about being perfect and getting every little detail right. He was just playing football. And he started to remind us why he was pretty much the consensus #1 overall pick last draft. But we weren't the only ones that wanted Bryce Young. Like there was other teams that were trying to jockey for position to get this kid. And that play, that reminded me of the Cam Newton throw.
Exactly. That bullet he just threw in there.
Where like he went through somebody's arms, another guy's doing like this, and then like I mean, I'm seeing the glimpses, I'm seeing flashes, and to me, I'm like, was that so hard to ask for? Like that's all I wanted. I wanted to see something like this. I wanted to see him in control of the offense, and man, he had a couple where I was just like, oh, okay. The one where he took that pressure on that blitz, it's somewhere in the middle here. We showed it earlier, but when he took that one, that's when I was like, okay, because he's standing in there and taking the hits and still delivering dots. Like, okay, we might have figured out a situation here that it was a conversation we were about to start having, but we didn't really want to have. And that was, what do we do in the offseason here with quarterback? Because we need to figure this out. I think we might have potentially.
The way he's been playing the last several games. I mean, I look back at the Denver Bronco game and started throwing the ball around towards the end of the game there. And then that leads to the Saints game, right?
Yeah.
And in the Saints game, we started seeing, Bryce come into his own. And then obviously you go to Germany, and that's an environment that's new for everyone. So there's a lot of things that go into that game that people won't know or talk about as far as what goes on behind the scenes as far as the preparation, right? But that's an opportunity there. You have a hurting Giants team that, at that point in time, you have the Carolina Panthers and the Giants, two teams that aren't doing really well, right? So let's not be the worst of those.
Giants going through it right now. Right? Like, it's hard times.
But then people, I think what people couldn't see is the fact that the Carolina Panthers in that Giants game actually left a lot on the table there. And when you watch a game and you're able to see, wow, they pretty good. They left a lot out there on the table. A couple drop passes, a couple missed opportunities here and there. Certain things that can shift a game to where, this team dominated. Of course they were going to win, right? You see a lot of those things happen in that game, which led me to feel going to this Kansas City Chiefs game, I really felt like we had a shot going in. To be honest, obviously their number one ranked defense, top ranked defense in the NFL in points. We were able to put up points. And one of the things that hurt us this game was field goals, right?
Yeah.
But we still gave ourselves a chance. I mean, there was at least 2 drives where we could have scored touchdowns, at least, right? And if that happens, Carolina Panthers are being talked about in a whole different light.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
They already are.
Yeah, I was gonna say they already are. Just from that's
Mhm.
weird from a losing effort that the perception of the Panthers. I saw Pat McAfee giving love to the Panthers on Monday, and he has been the past couple of weeks. He gave their offensive line the top grade, I think, a week or two ago when we played the Giants. So
yeah,
it's crazy to see. And watching that game, the first thing I forgot was that this is a top 5 defense. They are doing this against a Kansas City Chiefs defense that literally has been the bread and butter
people
of
down.
wins. Yeah,
but just keeping people out of the end zone. That's what they've been doing.
Yeah,
and you might get some yards, some splash plays here or there, but keeping guys out of the end zone is the name of the game. And the defense did the best that the best that they could of trying to contain Patrick Mahomes, but he's my homie for a reason.
Mahomes, man. There's something else too that bothers me. I know there's nothing that can be done about it, but Pat Mahomes does this better than any quarterback I've ever seen ever. That little thing when he takes off running and don't go out of bounds.
Yeah, he acts like he's about to go out of bounds or like not try to take a hit.
Another 25 yards.
Never mind.
He runs a certain way too, so like he'll kind of
very
like this.
upright.
Yeah, and then he just runs like Emma, and he just runs for like another 30 yards, and everyone's kind of. And that's what happened to the secondary because they thought he was going out of bounds. I really feel that, and then he didn't, and he literally turned that game right there because all of a sudden now they're deep in field goal territory. And it's like, dang it, Pat Mahomes did it again. It's like, dang it, like we should have known, but he did it again. And you didn't want to get the penalty. You didn't want to get like a roughing the quarterback 15-yard penalty because I would have put him in field goal range too. So I understand the dilemma, and a lot of quarterbacks don't really do it. But it made me think of Kenny Pickett in that bowl game. Remember when he did that thing where when he was playing, it was Pitt. I think it was Pitt and Wake Forest, and it was the ACC championship, and he was running full speed down the field, and he like straight. Acting like he was going to slide, and
I remember that.
Up, and he took off running.
Yeah,
I think they made it like a rule.
They made it a rule because of that.
They need a Pat Mahomes rule or something like. But I don't know what to do.
You can't run upright.
he's still in bounds, and he's still like an active player. Where are you supposed to be? You can't touch him unless it's here. That they already got so many rules for it anyway. But that's kind of what did him in. And again, watching Bryce in this game made me feel like okay. Dave Canales knows what he's doing. Another thing I realized in this game, Dave Canales is play calling this, for the first time, and we're watching it in real time because all the places he'd been before here, he never was the play caller. So people were talking about his play calling, and I'm like, well, in the first half, they didn't have much of a choice. But Spagnuolo loaded the box, so it was like, you got to put it in Bryce's hands, and Bryce delivered. And once that happened, it opened up the whole playbook, and there was some schemes he had that I loved watching in the passing game where they would literally drag like 2 or 3 receivers from like the right side of the field to the left across like in levels. Yeah. And like they would do it layered. And there was one where Thielen kind of came out from behind the offensive line.
Yeah. So that right there was basically a delayed, drag, if you want to call it, right? Mm-hmm. A crossing route. And he did such a great job. And one of the reasons why it's so like great that we have Adam Thielen, a veteran in that receiving room. It takes a little bit of wittiness to be able to do that route the right way. You're going up and acting like you're blocking. Mm-hmm. And so for a defense, they can smell, a rat, as far as when things are a little fishy or when things, are basically a mirage, right?
Yeah.
But he did a great job of just blanketing the defender and then just slipping out at the right time, right?
Yes.
And him being a receiver, he's smaller than a tight end. Like tight ends are usually in that position. I remember Greg Olsen used to do the same slip, crossing route back to the other side of the field, and he'd be wide open, and he was just so good at it. Adam Thielen did that route perfectly, and Bryce Young threw it on a rope like he knew he was going to be there. And so the chemistry there is what gives a guy like Bryce a fighting chance. Every quarterback needs that receiver that's just going to be where they're going to be, right on time, every single time, consistent. And I even look at the pass interference in the end zone where Bryce comes out of the pocket, rolls out, and as he's rolling out, he just automatically just releases the ball into the end zone for that 2-point. Was it a 2-point conversion?
They were down the field.
No. I'm talking about in the corner in the end zone.
Nah, that was for a touchdown, but and that was a dot too.
That was a dot, but the anticipation that he threw that on was what we have expected out of Bryce. His anticipation, his ability to be accurate, those are things that we saw in this game that makes a Carolina Panther fan excited. He delivered that ball before he even broke out of his route.
That takes confidence.
That takes confidence.
Every confidence in your line, confidence in who you're throwing it to, confidence in yourself. And he didn't have that. He didn't have that before. He didn't have that confidence for whatever reasons. And we can go through what happened and everything else. But I will say shout out to Bryce for manning up. A lot of people could have took a benching and just kind of went a whole different direction with it. And we've seen it with quarterbacks that have been drafted real high, getting benched early, and they just kind of, something happens to them. They don't never get back there. Bryce, according to reports, never really lost his smile, never really lost his upbeat attitude. And we've talked about it here on the show in terms of just let's see what we have. There's no rush to really trade him. Now, I did say a month ago before the trade deadline that if somebody came along and dangled a second round pick or something in front of Carolina, they would probably sit there in that moment in time and actually go, do we want to do this? And never once did they say that he was going to start again like this year. Like literally all this happened because Andy Dalton got in a car accident. Like we don't know if he would have ever got back on the field, to be completely honest. But for those thinking that they do know that he would have been back out there, no, you don't. None of us knew. Even Dave Canales didn't know. He didn't know if he was going to be back there out there again. So how did you know? So it's like sometimes things happen for a reason. And I'm a firm believer in karma. Things. If you lead a good life, then things will come back to you that are good, and vice versa. And if you're doing certain things in your life, it will get returned back to you in favor. And I feel like with Bryce, he's a prime example of it, of just plugging away, and making things right. And now you can kind of start to look at him and go, okay, that wasn't the ceiling. I don't think Sunday was the ceiling for Bryce. I think that was just the beginning of what he could possibly be.
I absolutely think that was the beginning. Think about it, bro. He just put up 263 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 92.9 passing rating, 60% completion rate against the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. And he's 23 years old.
Scored 11 points in like the last, 8 minutes of the game or something like that to tie it up. Like you literally tied up Pat Mahomes. The only bad part was when it happened, when they scored. Because I was at that point, I was like, they're going to score. Like I felt like they're going to score. They got the momentum. And when they did, I'm celebrating, and then I looked down the bottom right of the screen, and I was like, "It's a minute 47.
Too much time.
Yeah, you look too much time for Pat Mahomes to do something here, man."
But and really, it was the running back, man, Kareem Hunt. Being able to shed tackles at the end of the game. I look at that game, and that's why it's so important to keep your defense as fresh as possible. Earlier in the game, they were dominating the time of possession for a point of time. And then we finally had a drive where we were able to gain some time back and give our defense a break. But when your defense is out there chasing Patrick Mahomes around and trying to cover for 5 seconds, which is incredibly too long.
Gosh, any level of football,
they did the best that they could. And I think, we had 5 sacks.
Yeah, 5 sacks.
So we talk about a pass rush. I mean, DJ Wanham being on this team has changed our defense tremendously.
I don't think anybody saw that coming too, just from being out for a long time.
It allows it to just, basically kind of like spreading the wealth of attention, right, at the, line of scrimmage. It allows for guys like Jadeveon Clowney to be effective, 1.5 sacks. But what I want to talk about is when you have an active defensive front, no matter if they get to the quarterback or not, if you make pressures, creating pressures on the quarterback, creating pressures on a screen, creating pressures on the outside zone, that means that you're putting an offensive line in a bind where they are going to have to hold. And so the amount of penalties that the Kansas City Chiefs had really gave us a shot as well. And that just comes from guys having more effort, being scrappy, trying that last minute like stretch for, making a play or making the running back cut back into a lane. Those types of things go unnoticed. But, I see Jadeveon Clowney, he was an impact in that dimension, in that way throughout the whole course of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when your kids, when they throwing temper tantrums and they keep on making all this movement and like trying to squirm out of your arms and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to do it. Like, right. And eventually you lose grip. You lose a grip and they end up like getting out of your grip because they just do it for so long. It's like
laying on the grocery store floor.
Go limp all of a sudden. Like, man, get your butt up. But those types of things, trying to protect, trying to block a guy that is just scrappy for a certain amount of time, like a motor. Yeah. It's hard to block the right way. It's hard to follow the rules. You end up having to hold the guy.
Yeah. And there were, you mentioned, there were plenty of times in that game where I'm like screaming at TV, like, oh my gosh, how long is Pat Mahomes going to get to throw? Like, he's literally
they still missed a lot of holding calls too.
They did.
Let's talk about that. We can talk about that, but they definitely missed a lot of holding calls, especially that last drive that they scored on.
Yeah, those couple times where I'm like, look, my man's just turned the dude around like twice, like they're dancing. Like he's literally turned him around and there's no holding call on this. What's going on? And then on the reverse side of that, J.C. Horn was trying to guard DeAndre Hopkins, and the refs had decided, look, you're not going to be allowed to touch him today. Like if you decide to do anything around DeAndre Hopkins, we're going to call interference. And some of those J.C. probably wish he could have back, as he mentioned in the post game. But the thing that struck me too at the end of the game, the comments from the other players about Bryce and Robert Hunt and a couple, I think XL and a couple others said that Bryce actually gave some sort of post game speech to the team, and Robert Hunt said it was so good. Basically, he wanted to go back out there and start playing again. Like he's getting, and they were even like his vocal tone was different. Like he just kind of came out like, and I've noticed we don't see Bama Bryce very often on camera. Like you always see this composed, kind of calm demeanor, happy-go-lucky kind of guy. But sometimes you'll catch like on camera, you'll catch like behind the scenes Bryce, like where he's like yelling and pointing and doing this or whatever. He's just very composed. You don't really show it very often. I wish he did. Yeah. It would be fun to watch, but
I mean, I think people get so bent out of shape of like trying to make Bryce someone that he's not.
Yeah.
Bryce is exactly who he is, and I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. I want him to speak at the right times. I want him to encourage at the right times. I want him to be, because that's what makes him effective. Like, I look at a lot of guys that I played with, right? Like Julius Peppers. And even myself for a long period of time, like I wasn't really a talker. I talk more now than I ever talked. But like when you have a guy that just shows up and just does his job consistently and makes a case for when he does want to speak, his work actually provides why you should listen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for a guy like Bryce, He's been doing things all the right way. Before they go into the locker room at halftime, like he's standing there shaking everybody's hands, like before they go in. Stuff like that. That's who he is. Like I'm a leader by action, and I want to be that first, because all the talking is just talking, and if you don't have anything as far as proof of concept to back up what you're talking about, no one's gonna listen anyway.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So
it's common sense, right?
So it's common sense, really. Like, yeah, he feels more confident to speak to his guys in a way that he feels like he can lead. Like, I just put on a pretty good performance. I missed some things out there, and we just got to get better. Here we are, guys. We just played Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Like this, if this is not a measuring stick, I don't know what is. Like, we are a good team.
Yeah.
We are a good football team. We gave ourselves something to play for. And when you do that, you go out there and you play lights out. I look at the Cleveland Browns, right? They beat the Steelers because they played that game and found and gave themselves a reason to play. Like, you're not a Cleveland Brown unless you play the Steelers, unless you beat the Steelers, right?
Coincidentally, they got a guy at quarterback to follow, and Jameis Winston too, because that's kind of his MO no matter where he's been. He's a guy you're going to want to follow just off of how he talks and his actions. Yeah. So, I mean, the conviction of him, and that says a lot. Quarterback's the most important position on the field, and we're actually going to get to that conversation in just a bit in terms of how important is it, because there's a guy running around the NFL right now that's threatening to break the single season rushing record, and we need to talk about him seriously. But before we get off the Chiefs, as we go around the league, and the Panthers take on the Bucks this Sunday. It's a 4:00 kickoff. I'm pretty sure it's Fox, but I'll double check like I have all year just to make sure. A real quick glance at this box score before we get off of this game, and I want to talk about the Chiefs in terms of it's a weird thing to say, but are they as good as the record is? They're 10-1. They're 5-1 on the road, and we're having this conversation about, are they as good as I'm sorry, hit my microphone. Are they as good as their record? Because I think this is like the sixth game they've won at the last second, either off of a field goal or down to the wire, or whatever it may be. They look like they were matched up with Carolina in this. It wasn't like a David and Goliath type situation.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this until the end of time. If you got a chance to beat Michael Jordan, what are you going to do?
You better
try. You're going to bring your A game.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs, anybody that they play, they can play Pee-wee football team. That Pee-wee football team is going to bring their A game if they like that, right? If they have something to play for, if they have any dogs on the team, they're going to find a reason to play, okay? And so the Kansas City Chiefs have been getting the best version of every single team that they play. That's just the name of this game. If you want to be noticed, if you want to be talked about, you're going to try to take out the giant, right? Take out the giant.
Yeah.
Bring his head, hold it, and let everybody see. I beat the giant, right? So that's the reason why they are in such these close games. You're playing bunch of men playing football. Like, everybody's in the league because the teams feel like they give them a chance to win a championship. They're not just on teams for charity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, all these guys get paid, right? And so you are going to have games like the Chiefs have had all year long, where they've been so close because they've been getting the best out of every single team. And the difference is that Kansas City hasn't really been as effective, because sometimes a team like that, they get lulled to sleep, just to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think we got their best on offense this past weekend. And I honestly think that we got their best in on the defensive side as well. I think that's a great measuring stick for the Carolina Panthers to move forward in their preparation and how they want to finish the season. Because I can tell you this, they can win the rest of these games.
Yeah, again, at the beginning of the year, we were looking at this stretch and we were like, ugh, after the bye, it gets really crazy. But I mean, the Cowboys have fallen apart.
No, the Cowboys beat the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, but I mean, are you really nervous about Dallas at this point? Well, you were never really nervous about them at all. But
I don't care about the Dallas Cowboys.
I was thinking Dak Prescott and company were going to be the ones we were going to see, and that ain't them. So
I feel like if our pass rush, how they was getting after Patrick Mahomes this past week,
do that again.
Do that. If you do that,
every
we're going to win
Sunday. Yeah. If we can get 5 sacks every week, I'm good to go. I do think some of the other stuff people, again, we're talking about the play calling and the run game and all that stuff. That was kind of dictated by, I think people don't understand what the word balanced football means. Balanced football doesn't mean 5 runs, 5 passes or whatever. Balanced football means that you feel comfortable enough. And this was told to me by a coach. So when he said it to me, I was like, okay, that makes total sense. He was like, balanced football is not 5 run plays, 5 pass plays. Balanced football is when your offense is running at a certain level where the defense tries to take something away from you and you can do the other thing just as well. So if what they tried to do, somebody actually
load the box. They tried to load the box
early
in the beginning of the game. So, all right, well, we're going to launch this puppy.
Exactly.
Right?
Mark Burks was like, serious question, anyone, is it just me or did it look like Kansas City was stacking the box and BY was aware of their scheme and checked out a lot? I actually don't know how to recognize that. I don't think he was checking out of it. I think Canales and company recognized that they were loading the box. And started
I think also too, they knew what going into that game plan. That's why I say the scripted plays in the beginning of the game, whatever they had going for them in the beginning, it worked because they were prepared.
Yeah.
That's why I started this off saying the Carolina Panthers were the most prepared team. They were the most prepared.
It's been like that really, even when Dalton was in. Those first 20 plays that they script out, they're usually chef's kiss. Like, they usually can move the ball. Like, that really hasn't been an issue this year with them moving. Like, last year, it was a problem watching them on offense, period. Like, they just couldn't do anything. It felt like they were stuck in mud. This year, and especially that game Sunday, it felt like they could kind of go wherever they wanted to go. Again, the problem was the red zone. Once they got down in there, it kind of limited what they wanted to do, but
it gets harder in the red zone anyways, right?
Yes.
The field shrinks and it's just harder to, get the ball into the small areas, right?
Yeah.
And so, what we did see, Bryce was throwing some really good throws in the red zone.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of drops. Yeah,
you just got to come up with those plays, and I think that's what's so good about what Bryce is doing. He's in this situation. He's playing in a way that gives the offensive coaches an opportunity to evaluate.
That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted.
Because now you give these receivers an opportunity to go back and say, hey, look, how can I get better? Mm-hmm. And so when these receivers are able to look at themselves in the mirror, everybody looking at themselves in the mirror, how can I be better for my quarterback that's giving me a chance? How can I be better for my quarterback that's out there making plays? Like, this is a confidence builder, not just for Bryce Young, but for the coaching staff and the players across the whole board. So
we might look back on it as a turning point with the franchise. There's been a number of nexus points in this season where we're going to look back and go,
we're no longer talking about the Green Bay game.
Right, exactly. And I hated talking about that Green Bay game because they lost. So I was like, well, we lost the game. So I feel like, and then right after it, we went and scored 0 points in the very next game. It's like, so I really want to make sure that this isn't, and it doesn't feel like it, because that Green Bay game felt like it kind of was a blip, like it kind of came out of nowhere.
I think the Saints game is really more so the game that we should all be talking about.
Yeah,
because we actually drove down there, stopped the defense or stopped the offense twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Put them in situations where they were having penalties, right? Shooting themselves in the foot, whatever you want to call it. But we took advantage of that situation and we ran the ball in for a touchdown.
Yep.
And that is the DNA of the Carolina Panthers, in my opinion. Run that ball.
Run the ball. Now, I know they didn't get a chance to, do it as much as they wanted to.
They were effective.
They were effective
every time. They were effective in that second half.
Yeah, when they needed to. That's when they were. And again, Bryce had 3 carries for 20 yards that extended drives where it was decisive. That's what I wanted. I wanted decisiveness, where like it wasn't like I'm running for my life. There's 3 people chasing me type run. It was option 1's out, option 2 is out. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and go. And he just just took off and went, and it surprised Kansas City. Like he did 2 or 3 times in that game. And if you start doing that, and you start manipulating what the defense is doing as opposed to reacting to what the defense is doing to you, that's the flip. That's the difference between a Pat Mahomes and a 2023 Bryce Young, where Bryce Young is reacting to everything going on in front of him. Pat Mahomes is dictating what you were trying to do to him. Like, I'm gonna take off running for 15 yards. Oh, you're gonna give me another 30? I'm gonna take that too. And you know what I mean? Like, he's just, some of the stuff the Kansas City Chiefs were doing on offense, I will say, it did feel like they're missing people. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the crazy part, because again, they're 10-1. Like we talk about them like they're a 500 team, and they're the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions. And it felt like, okay, if they get this guy back and that guy back on offense,
they get Pacheco back.
They get Pacheco back. Yeah. Kelsey hasn't really warmed up yet. He got a couple where it was just like, okay, you kind of expect that to happen. McCole Hardman had a couple of things. They don't have like Worthy, I guess, is their biggest deep threat right now, and he's a rookie. So you're kind of figuring that out. And I know their left tackle situation's been an issue, as the Panthers exploited on Sunday. But if you're going to play like that, I can't say the Chiefs played a bad game. That's the thing. I can't really say they played a bad game. They went down the field just as much as we did. I think 5 or 6 of the possessions. There was only like 2 punts in the whole game. So
we didn't really get a stop on them. When
no. And that's kind of like, but what we did defense. We need draft defense, off-season defense, load up pass rushers. Somebody mentioned that we need a middle linebacker. I don't know if we do, man. Trevin Wallace has been playing pretty well.
Trevin Wallace.
Yeah,
I would say maybe safety. Someone that can, cover the whole field.
Imagine a world where the Panthers are competitive throughout the rest of the season, yet still end up with a top 5 pick, and they end up drafting Travis Hunter, wide receiver / cornerback, Colorado Buffaloes.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be perfect. Can you imagine Travis Hunter going out on a route with Bryce throwing it, or Travis Hunter intercepting a Pat Mahomes? I don't even want to. I like
Travis Hunter intercepting things more than receiving things.
You think he should? Now, do you think he should play both in the NFL? Because I think that's his goal. Like, I think he's saying he wants to come in.
This is what I think. If Travis Hunter wants to come into the NFL and prove that he can play both sides of the ball, and he actually proves that he can, I think you let him do it.
Why not?
But
why not?
I think one of the things that he might, the reality is that once you get to the league, everybody's really good. So you'll really be able to compare, apples to apples when he gets to the league. But he is a tremendous player on both sides of the ball at the college level. And I think going into the draft, he should absolutely have that mindset.
Who's the last?
I'm going to try to be on both sides of the ball, like Deion.
I was gonna say, is Deion the last one? I'm trying to think. Who's the last like true two-way player you can think of? Because of course Deion comes to mind, but I can't think of anybody in the past really 20 years that played both sides of the ball. And even then, Deion started doing it really more once he got to Dallas. They started putting him at wide receiver because they didn't have a 2 for a little bit. So it was him and Michael Irvin. And he obviously had the hands, but for the most part, he was a cornerback his entire career. I'm just sitting there trying to think. There's been players that have played multiple positions and that kind of thing, like on the same side of the ball. But who's the last like true two-way player? And it's funny too, because Deion, I put Deion in the same category as Bo Jackson as like my favorite athletes of all time. Because I mean, when Bo Jackson and Deion were in their prime, pun completely intended, I was like, elementary school, middle school, that age, Bo Jackson, Nikes are out, Bo knows, all that kind of stuff. And it was just like fascinating to see a dude be able to play. Now, Bo and Deion were different. They played multiple sports. So like they weren't just like, I'm going to play wide receiver and I'm going to play cornerback. No, I'm going to play right field and I'm going to play cornerback. Like, and I'm going to do it on the same day. Like that kind of thing. Like just different, just blessed with just different athletic ability. And if Travis Hunter can do that and you bring him here, he's an instant face of the franchise. If you can bring somebody like Travis Hunter in here like that, he's got the charisma and everything that you're looking for. It would
good kid.
Like, but again, that's kind of wishing because honestly, there's still 6 games left in this season. I don't know what Carolina's going to do, and that's what I like the most. Like I have no idea.
This is my thought process is I don't want to be in a position to have the top 5 pick.
I want to win. I want to win. Yeah,
I think it does us more. It does the team better to win all the games because now you have a whole team that has this confidence going into an off season that provides them, this chemistry, this bond, this element of growth that is just unstoppable, in my opinion. When you have a team that has been able to go through things, weather the storm together, anchor down, and come out and say, hey, got some scars, got some bruises, but I'm still standing.
Right.
Well, it's like that song, I'm still standing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still standing. Yeah. Anyways.
But not
watch the movie Sing. If y'all don't watch Sing,
okay,
y'all don't got kids.
Yeah. Schuyler might be in the middle of watching something like that right now. Matter of fact, I just talked to him a minute ago. He called at the beginning of the show. Apparently, the West Virginia coach, there might be a situation going on with him right now, so he's having to be on alert for that. And breaking news, I didn't realize this when we first came on. Breaking news: North Carolina, the University of North Carolina has announced that they will not be returning Mack Brown as head coach next year, which apparently is a surprise to Mack Brown because he just put out a statement about this. So yeah, this is all happening right now, real time, this morning. So my show, the Desmond Johnson show, will be on at 12:30, and I'll have David Glenn on with me. So we'll discuss that and more because I didn't expect that to happen with a game remaining, I believe. Yeah, they got one more game left, so they didn't want to wait until the end. They're like, nope, Mack's not going to be here. So
listen, we're changing directions here, and we appreciate everything that you've done for us, but you have got to get up out of here.
My alma mater, my high school, their quarterback is a 4-star here in North Carolina, and he's committed to North Carolina for next year. So I don't know. I don't know what happens. He's been committed since sophomore year. So like, if
I'm a player and I committed to a coach and he get fired, I'm out too.
See, especially now, it's so easy. It's so easy just to go someplace else.
Yeah,
like there's
not even. I
don't even know there's paperwork. it's like I'm going on.
The problem with that is some of the schools that you turn down, that NIL money, you try to go to them now, they're gonna be like, psh,
today's price ain't yesterday's price.
Have to come in for a discount.
The wonderful world of college football and athletics right now. This is crazy. I was just up last night. Carolina's in the Maui Invitational, and it's 6-hour difference or whatever. So all their games this week have been like 11:30, 12:30 at night, like starts. Like they started at 11:30 last night. They play Auburn tonight at 11. So it's rough. It's rough. Crossover season is here.
Crossover season is here.
It's all intertwining into everything, basketball and football together. I love it. I wanted to ask you, as a former running back, your thoughts on not just Saquon Barkley, because Derrick Henry's right there too. Saquon Barkley is leading the league in rushing yards right now. He's got 1,392 yards. Yeah. Derrick Henry's second at 1,325 yards. Both are playing on teams that are in the playoff chase. Saquon is with Philly, of course. They're chasing Detroit. Good luck there for the number 1 seed in the NFC. They're a game behind them. And Baltimore, of course, is in that crazy AFC North. And they're in the hunt, too, for a high seed. The likelihood, who are your MVP candidates right now? Let's start off right there. Can you give me your top 3 MVP candidates in the league as we stand with 6 games to go? And I can help you out here because I pulled up stat leaders.
I'm going to go with top MVP candidates. And how I look at this is, without this player, who are they?
Yeah.
Okay. And what they do to a defense or an offense, right? And I think MVPs are, dominated by offensive players because it's very hard to be consistent, I think, offensively, because there's so many different moving parts that have to go well for you to stand out. And when you have a player that can still stand out when things don't go as well as you would want them to. I look at a guy like Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens. He's obviously been MVP in the past.
2 times.
A few times.
He's leading the league in passing yards right now.
He's leading the league. You know what I'm saying? And he's doing things that no one really does. I mean, last night he runs a touchdown in, and it was almost identical to what he looked like in high school. I don't know if you saw that run where he runs to the pylon and a kid's chasing him, and then he just stops on a dime.
Oh,
the kid
yeah.
just runs right by him.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he was wearing the purple jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just walks right in.
Yeah.
He basically did that last night in the NFL.
Lamar, man.
Like, he making these guys look like kids. And so
Game changer.
when you got a guy like that, that's a game changer, bro. Like, and then I would say second runner up there would be Josh Allen. Just because Buffalo Bills are no one without Josh Allen. They are no one. They're nobody.
Yeah, when you get down to the whole like most valuable player,
yeah,
like, I kind of look at it like if you took this player off this team, is this team really bad or just worse without that player? And you're right.
They losing games.
Yeah, they're losing more than they winning. Now Josh, he's down in the passing ratings. He's number 14. He's got over 2,500 yards. Actually, Lamar, Geno Smith, and Joe Burrow are the only three that are over 3,000 yards with six games to go.
And the reason why I say Josh Allen over Joe Burrow is because he's putting up amazing numbers, but clearly they stink on defense.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So we can't be like, hey, y'all losing a lot of games that y'all should be winning. But Joe, you're the most valuable player in the league. Nah, you're not. No. I'm just sorry to tell you.
You're very good at your craft.
You're really good at what you do. Now, if there was like a best quarterback award, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe we can give you that.
They almost need to separate it because it feels like only quarterbacks win MVP now. Adrian Peterson was the last one to win it. That was 2012, and in that year he was flirting with breaking the single season rushing record, and that's the only reason why he got pushed into that category. Saquon and Derrick Henry are now, granted, it's an extra game. It'll be 17 games. They're at 1392. They're averaging Saquon's averaging 126 yards a game.
That's bad, man. Listen, I actually changed I'll go Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley.
Derrick Henry? Because what is Baltimore this year without Henry?
They still Baltimore.
They do.
They've been Baltimore. They've been doing this before Derrick Henry got there. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
And it's not a discredit to who Derrick Henry is. You know what I'm saying? My man rushed for 150 plus yards, 160 yards last night.
Yep.
And we ain't talking about it today.
Right.
But that's just what he does. Like, but yeah, man, it's hard to say.
I kind of like this push for Saquon for MVP because
because this is the reason why Saquon Barkley is the MVP in an opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a guy that goes to an organization that has weapons around him, yes, but then what that does, it enhances who Saquon Barkley really is and who we know him to be. I saw Saquon Barkley step on the field in OTAs his rookie year. Same size as me, right? Say quads, right? And he was doing things that I've never seen a player do, ever, at that size. And I said to myself, I'm retiring this year. Because there's no way that I can put up numbers like he's putting up, doing things the way he's doing in practice, catching one hand back flip catches and with Odell Beckham and just looking like a cat, man.
They added that backwards jump to Madden. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that, bro. Like
the backwards leap as a move.
He's changing the face of the game.
Oh God.
And he has an opportunity to do so because he has guys around him. And that just enhances him, right?
Yeah.
But he also enhances the team. Without him, they don't have to be so pass heavy. They started the season off throwing the ball about 30 times a game. Like 30 plus times a game, being pass happy, like thinking that they have to do what they've been doing, in previous years. then they all of a sudden said, hold up, Saquon Barkley is special.
Very, very special.
So
Very
let's alter this thing here for a little bit and start really, relying on this guy that is a generational talent. And I mean, the game that he had the other night, bro, breaking a franchise record for the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of guys have came through Philadelphia. You got LaShawn McCoy, you got Brian Westbrook. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of guys that you have Deuce Staley. You know what I'm saying? Like you have some dogs that you are basically, the successor of. And he's doing it in a way that is so contagious. I mean, you watch him, he's having the most fun that he's ever had in his entire life. This is a guy that has endured everything that you talk about in a football story. The hardships of injuries, the hardships of an organization that ain't doing right by you, right? And the talks of being traded, the talks of, is Saquon still Saquon? Like, what's happening? Well, what's happened is he was playing for the New York Football Giants, and they hadn't had a receiver, a go-to guy, a top 3 receiver that can take another guy out of the box. Just take one more guy out of the box for me, please. And give me some room to run. So now he's with the Philadelphia Eagles. You arguably have a top 3 receiver in A.J. Brown. That's one guy somebody's got to cover him, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2 guys have to cover him.
And then you got kid on the other side from Alabama. So, I mean, you got ways to clear that box out. They can't just stack it on you because Jalen Hurts can hurt you in the air.
So now you have a Swiss Army knife in the backfield, ready to unleash havoc.
Yeah.
So his size, his speed, his ability to make one guy miss, but also not just one guy miss, make 2, 3 guys miss all in one play. If you got a guy that can make 3 guys miss in a 4-yard span, a space, that's a special guy.
And so I want to keep him up there because I would love to see a running back win MVP.
Yes.
Because I'm old school. I'm from like watching it 80s, 90s when it's like Emmitt Smith winning MVP.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like where the running backs were just as important, if not more so. Really, to be honest, in the early 90s, it felt like the running back was the most important position, not the quarterback. Because like if you had a bellwether back that could get 25 carries, 100 plus yards a game, Emmitt Smith, a Barry Sanders, a Roger Craig, a Marshall Faulk, like that type that you could run your entire offense through.
Yeah,
that's different. Then you can put whatever at quarterback, but you don't necessarily need a stud at quarterback to make it run because everybody knows where the ball's going. It's just, can you stop them? That's a different kind of football to me. Whereas quarterback, the rule changes in the game have really catered it more towards quarterbacks, and that's why the passing numbers got big for a while and everything else. Where it's really hard for another position to break through to win MVP. Like if it was a defensive player, say a defensive player was just having a crazy year, had like 12 interceptions, something like that. They would probably just get defensive player of the year before they get league MVP. Whereas with a quarterback, they're going to be in the MVP race if they're doing what they're doing. So Saquon's got a hill to climb. I think if the Eagles actually catch Detroit and get the number 1 seed, that'll probably be his best bet to be MVP. Yeah. Otherwise, I think you might be right. It might be Lamar's to lose if they keep playing the way they're playing and they get a top 2 or 3 seed in the AFC. I don't really know if anybody's going to be able, especially if he ends up leading the league in passing. The one thing everyone said he couldn't do, and then he comes out after winning a second MVP. Let me just lead the whole league in passing after we added Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry's already up to 1,300 yards himself. Like, our offense is a problem. Like that. That you make a pretty good point there. I
will say that the Detroit Lions do face the Packers. Okay,
Thursday
14, and they face the Bills at the Bills December 15th. So they got some games that they'll be tested. I know they steamrolling every team that they playing. They having fun too. I love watching those players. I mean, did you see the picture of them dressing up like the early 2000 basketball players?
No,
Allen Iverson.
Like coming in. Like walking
Yeah,
in
coming in for the game. It was
they have on
dope.
like the big suits and stuff. Or like
Yeah.
that.
But it's dope just kind of seeing how, you know, they are taking form in their identity.
Dan
And
Campbell,
it just it reminds me of Carolina Panthers 2015,
I said it last
2014,
week to you.
2015.
Yeah, it reminds me of that team. That bond. If you could, there's a palatable bond you can feel with a team when they're coming together like that. You can feel it in Kansas City early on, like 4 years ago. You kind of see them kind of doing it. Detroit, you kind of feel it right now. All the pieces just seem to fit, and like they've drafted well. And it hasn't been like a this wasn't an instant thing. Like, you know, 2 years ago, they were like 2 and something or whatever in Dan Campbell's first year, but they stuck with it. Like the front office knew they had their guy and Dan Campbell, and they were able to build and bring people in through free agency the right way. And guys, the same blueprint they're doing in Carolina right now. Like they had to find the right guy for the head coach. I honestly feel like finally they have found the right guy at head coach that's going to be here for a while and is going to grow with this team. Dave Canales is pretty young. Like I could see him here 15 years. Like if this works out pretty well. Dan Morgan's going to get his guys. We already know the type of guys he wants, the kind of guys he's going to go after. They're out there making plays right now, like rookies that are out there making plays that fit the description of what he said when they first hired him. And it wasn't just lip service. And that's what I respect, because as a Carolina Panther fan, especially the past 4 years, I feel like that's all we've gotten is lip service. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. And then it don't happen. We're finally seeing results from what they said they were going to do. And that's what I really appreciate. Even the Bryce Young stuff, they didn't look at him as a piece that could not be salvaged. Like, I mean, he's a rookie. He's a young 23. He was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. Let's see what we have before we completely just get rid of this kid and just start all over again and be where we were 2 years ago and 2 years before that. So shout out to everyone involved with this. They've made Panther football fun to watch again. And I think I speak for entire Panther Nation when I say thank you for that, because our Sundays are starting to get back towards that. Oh, I got to sit here and watch a Panther game. Like it was getting there for a little bit, the ebb and flow of this year. And now I'm kind of like, I want to see what they do next. Like I want them to play tomorrow. Like I want to see what they do. Before we get out of here, Bleav asked us, it's that time of the year. Of course, Thanksgiving is Thursday, and Bleav wanted us to drop our comments on our favorite Thanksgiving side dishes and most overrated side dishes before we get out of here. Let's get to the favorites first. I already know what mine is. Like, I already know the favorite. You got a favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
Can I get some yams, please?
That's your favorite side dish?
Some candied yams on the side, please.
I'm going with baked mac and cheese, not the Kraft in the little blue box mac and cheese, not the joint you got to peel off and put in the microwave. I'm talking.
Yeah, you need that. How many cheeses you putting in there?
Man, I had found a recipe. It's like a 4 cheese. It uses like Gouda and like
I need at least 3+.
Yeah, I use cream having cheese. 2 cheeses. I got a whole like thing going on. Like me and my mom we silent fight over who's gonna make the baked mac and cheese every year. Like she won this year. She's making baked mac and cheese for Thanksgiving. I'll probably make it for Christmas. But that's kind of I like baked mac and cheese. That's kind of my thing there. And it goes with everything. Turkey, whatever your main dish, turkey, ham. I've heard people talking about prawn rib this year. Put some baked mac and cheese.
Them candied yams and mac and cheese. Leftovers the next day.
Some people like mix it together.
Mix them up together.
Thanksgiving is the best holiday because those flavors get to sit for a day or two in the refrigerator after it's over. You can go back there and dig again. What's the most overrated dish?
The most overrated dish? Yeah. Side dish?
I wonder if you're gonna go where I'm going. Because I'm staring at green bean casserole and I'm just like, what is this supposed to be?
I'm not a green bean casserole type of guy.
Me either. Yeah.
But like I ain't really touching it.
I ain't asking for it. Yeah, I'm like, hey, what's up with green bean casserole?
It's not my go-to. It's definitely not on my plate. This is my plate. Okay.
That's it.
I'm taking the turkey leg. I'm the guy that's, if you got turkey, I'm taking the leg. I don't care who you are. I don't care whose house I'm at. I'm taking the turkey leg. Mac and cheese. Some collard greens.
Ooh, yes. A little vinegar.
Some yams. Some potato salad, but mustard base. I don't mess with that mayonnaise. I don't mess with the mayonnaise.
Okay.
some dressing, and then I got to drizzle that thing with a lot of gravy.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, I'm going same. I'm hitting the turkey breast. But it's got to be somebody who knows how to cook it, because if it's dry,
I'm missing the
I gotta
most
use a bunch of
important
gravy.
ham.
Ooh, yeah,
Big ham guy.
Ham.
Big ham guy.
We do like actually I gotta figure out what because I'm supposed to be bringing the second meat. I might do meatballs like in a crock pot type joint with the sauce on them or whatever. I might do that. Just something simple. My mom's doing the turkey. Same thing, turkey, baked mac and cheese. I like the collard greens with some vinegar. Something sweet, but not yams. My wife makes really good like deviled eggs.
You don't like yams?
No, same thing with the green bean casserole. It's not that I don't like them. I just don't like go out of my way to put them on my plate.
Man, I'm gonna beat you up.
I can eat them. I mean, it ain't a problem.
I'll fight you.
I don't like wake up going, ooh, it's yam day. I'm about to get some yam. Like, nah. You know what I mean? Like, if it's there and I want a little sweetness on my plate, yeah, throw some yams on there. But
you better have some yams this year. You better show me your plate.
I'm sure.
Text me a picture.
It's at my mom's crib, so yeah, I'm pretty sure my mom and dad will have some yams out there, knowing him. Oh, most overrated dish. I said green bean casserole, coming in strong in second. Cranberry sauce.
Yeah, I don't really need cranberry sauce.
People all up on this one, but actual slides out the can joint. That's just like the can shape that's sitting on the plate. I'm like, no, no. People prefer that to actual homemade cranberry sauce. I'm just like, I don't like cranberries anyway, but everybody
I'm not
likes
gonna
cranberries.
lie. I never really had it on my plate. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Cranberry sauce,
but like I'm not a cranberry guy.
It's just like
I like cranberry juice.
Oh, shout out to Cherry Bundy. Before we get out of here too, I gave my parents some of that drink that we had that they shipped out to us.
They liked it.
They like it. My wife loves it. Like, it's been sitting here for like a month or two, and then she saw me.
Like, what you doing with these? You ain't drinking them?
She was like, if I'd known you would give your mom and dad a case of them, I would have told you to keep them. Because then she started drinking them after I gave them part of it, and she was drinking them every day. And
man,
it actually helps. Anti-inflammatory stuff and sleeping and all that stuff. But yeah, so we thought that Schuyler was going to get a chance to poke his head in, but again, there's a lot of stuff going on in college football right now. As we mentioned, Mac Brown. University of North Carolina, they announced he's not returning to surprise to Mac and everyone else. Schuyler said something might be going on with the West Virginia coach. So follow him on Twitter and X. Follow us on X at Bleav in Panthers. Shout out to everybody that came in today to check on us. You can check the video out on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. It was on Twitch today, actually. I'm just checking. We are on Twitch right now, and it's live. So if you have a Twitch account, you can follow Tobacco Road Sports Radio there and actually see the video of this here. And I'm working on getting us on TikTok. If you came in late, I've been permanently banned from Facebook for posting content that I actually own. So there's no way for me to fight the bot. So until I decide to make another account or whatever on Facebook,
Desmond was on Facebook selling Gucci purses.
You're being digitally thuggish, and they just took my whole rights away. I'm like, man, and it's crazy too because I'm kind of used to scrolling, and now it's like the problem on my phone. I don't want to uninstall Facebook because I don't know if they're going to reverse it. But Facebook is evil, man. Like, they won't let me in, but they will send me notifications of what's going on, like on my phone, and it won't let me see what's happening. It's like the SpongeBob meme where he's sitting at the window and they're all outside. That's what's going on with me. I'm inside the house and they won't let me out to go play. So just follow us there. I'm actually on Blue Sky now. You can follow me there, Des_3505 at BSky, I think .social. I'm gonna try to convince Stu to come over there too. It's supposed to be like the new Twitter. It's a lot cleaner. It's not a lot of garbage and stuff. Blue Sky. It's Blue Sky's the name. It's like the alternative to Twitter or Threads. And a lot of sports personalities over there right now. I'm following Mina Kimes right now, and she uses it a lot. So go check that out. Blue Sky. Yeah, it's like Twitter, a butterfly icon.
I get on Twitter like a couple times a day.
Yeah.
And I literally just be like, what is this? I just pop on my phone. Who is this?
It's too, and Twitter will notify you from people that you aren't even following. Like, it'll just be random people pop up in your things like, hey, this person did this. Or I'm like, I don't even know.
Just trying to feed an agenda.
Yeah, they're just trying to push
I see Elon, especially when I see Elon Musk start posting stuff that's just like out of the weird, like, wonder, like,
what are you doing? Go build a spaceship or something, man. Like, stop, get off Twitter.
Go be rich, man.
Yeah, go be rich. Go be the richest and just get off of here. But we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Everybody enjoy your Thanksgiving. I think Schuyler will be back with us next week. Again, the Panthers taking on the Bucks. That is at 4 o'clock kickoff. It's a late kickoff. We may have I Bleav in Panthers Extra later on this week, where I'll bring a Panthers content creator, somebody on to help preview that game. But everybody, enjoy your Thanksgiving weekend. We will see you guys next Tuesday. For Jonathan Stewart, Schuyler Callihan, and myself, Desmond Johnson, you've been watching and listening to the Bleav in Panthers podcast on Bleav Podcast Networks. Keep at it.